Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Paul Krieger.
Hey, everybody.
Amy Krieger.
Hello.
From DVCResaleMarket.com, Miss Danny Metzger.
Howdy.
And back in the production nook, our producer,
Hello,
Mr.
everyone.
John Sakari. I didn't even introduce you before you said hello.
It's fine.
Just a reminder, folks, this show, along with all of our DVC content, brought to you by our wonderful sponsors at the World of DVC. That includes DVCResaleMarket.com, where you can pick up a DVC resale contract and save yourself some money on becoming a DVC member. DVCRentalStore.com, where you can rent out your points or rent points. If you want to try DVC before you buy, get a feel for it. Save a lot of money over going direct through Disney. And of course, the crack dealers of the DVC world, MoneraFinancial.com, will help finance your DVC resale contract. And they make it painfully easy. Painfully easy. Everybody gets approved. Okay?
Amy gets
Literally.
love. Amy gets love and hate mail because you call her a crack dealer.
Nah.
You don't get hate mail from that, right?
No. It's
She
the
gets
good kind of
she gets
crack.
people that go, I just love it that he calls you a crack dealer. They just be like, I can't believe he's calling you a crack dealer.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, for some people, the price is a barrier to entry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to finance.
Yeah.
And
That's
that barrier
for a
to
lot of
entry is
people.
just gone.
Absolutely. And that's how we got in. I mean, we started in 2018 and we borrowed from Monera. And, if we had waited and saved up all that time, we actually would have paid more on the increase in price, and then we did on the actual interest that we paid.
I think it's time for Panda to get a resale contract.
You know, the 150 points I've got, it makes me want more. It does.
You're
And they're telling me now is the time to do it.
Well, that's what this show is about today, is why this is a good time to buy resale. And I want to start out with the fact that Disney stopped buying back contracts. Now, just in case you don't know what we're talking about, when you make an offer on a DVC resale contract, that offer gets presented to Disney because as part of their deal with the original owner, they have the right of first refusal when you sell a contract. So they get to look at that and say, okay, we're going to let this sale go through and you go ahead and buy it, or Disney buys it back. And, it's called right of first refusal. We refer to it as ROFR. ROFR can be the bane of your existence.
Typically known as the ROFR Monster.
The ROFR Monster eats up your contracts. And, we hear it all the time. I'm putting an offer into my third contract because the other two got bought back.
Yeah. We had someone that tried Bay Lake 8 times last year.
Eight
times before they finally got one to go through.
And this is, the reason Disney does this is they maintain the price integrity of the product. They don't want it being sold too low. Plus, when Disney buys it back, they then own that contract. They can then turn around and sell those points at direct prices. So let's say they're going to buy that poly at $140 a point. They can then turn around and sell it for, $215 now?
Yeah, something crazy.
Something like that?
Yeah.
One of the ways Disney Vacation Club makes money. It's one of the ways they make money. So, right now, ROFR not a thing. They're not buying anything back.
Nada.
For how many?
Full stop.
Couple of months at least, right?
Yeah, we're going on month 3, or Yeah, I think we're into month 3 now with absolutely zero ROFR activity, and before that, the 2 months prior were 4 contracts, just a couple contracts. They were Copper Creek, I believe it was, but for the better part of almost 6 months now, there's been very little. Now, in terms of statistics and numbers, we're specifically talking about contracts that were sold with DVC resale market because that's really where we have our insight as to what is happening with ROFR. But because of how much market they have, it's a pretty good reflection of, I think, the entire market as a whole. You're hearing it across the board from other brokers and things like that as well. Disney is not buying back contracts at the moment.
So, now the last time that they did this, they stopped buying back contracts, was during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. You could pretty much pick up whatever contract you wanted. Any idea why? Any speculation as to why they've stopped buying back?
Well, I mean, look, last year they were buying back everything. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I had to guess, I would think that they're just sitting on a ton of inventory and they don't need it anymore. And look, let's be honest, like direct sales have kind of fallen as well, so they probably have more inventory than they know what to do with. But it's just such a unique time right now. It's like the big bang of DVC resale. It's like you have Disney not buying back, and then you have some of the lowest prices that we've seen in years coupled with that as well. So
Is that as a result of ROFR? Other than them not buying it back, the prices are going down?
It's definitely a large factor because there's not that sort of checkpoint that they previously had in terms of making sure that they maintained a certain value. So people are swooping in and getting more deals. I think largely we're also seeing just economic effects across the board. Yeah. Where we're at economically right now, people are just sort of questioning things more than ever. As you said, Danny, direct sales are significantly down right now. They're not even selling these sold out points that they ROFR'd last year.
Right, exactly.
And so they're struggling to hit those sales numbers. And so from a whole, you could never in your mind imagine Disney lowering prices on purpose, but you have to wonder if maybe that's what they're trying to do with DVC a little bit. And, we just finished up a show on the Disneyland Tower, and we had previously talked about Disneyland Tower going on sale at $250 a point, $260. If you take out a pandemic, an economic recession, and a bunch of other stuff, that's probably a correct statement. We probably were correct at that time. Right. We didn't know all of these things were going to happen, but that really just tells you how these small little things can affect pricing. And so it has significantly impacted, the price of resale contracts across the board. I think year over year, we're down somewhere between like 15 to 25% in terms of how far resale prices have decreased. But even that, there's some oddities out there that still people are, in the last ROFR update and in the last average price blog, I sort of said it's the year of the buyer for sure right now, because it doesn't look like Disney plans to resume this anytime soon.
But I will say also, it's a pretty cool time because even if you're looking to sell your contract right now, we have a ton of buyers. We're selling close to $3 million every single week in DVC points, which is just mind-blowing in this economy right now. So, I mean, as much as it is a buyer's market, for sellers out there, there are a lot of buyers looking for points right now. The word is definitely out. Now is the time.
Are you seeing particular properties that you think are a better deal right now than maybe some other ones? Is there a particular, like Polynesian better?
So I would say because Copper Creek is probably the most recent resort that Disney was buying back, we weren't seeing as much Copper Creek selling. In the past few weeks, I have seen an uptick in Copper Creek, but I would say Polynesian is probably my most popular one, and also Saratoga. I think Saratoga is always like a good go-to if you're just looking for, if home resort priority is not important to you, or if you're like me, if you just can't book a reservation far in advance to save your life, you know, you just want a low price per point, I think Saratoga is a really good option, and I'm selling a lot of Saratoga as well. But yeah, Polynesian, all your monorail properties right now are going pretty quickly as well.
And those were some that were always very well in check with Disney. You know, those are easy points that they could previously purchase, flip a contract, and resell. Bay Lake Tower was another one that was very popular in terms of that. And I think right before ROFR stopped, those were the properties they were focusing on. Like you said, Copper Creek was very popular in ROFR. Bay Lake was very popular in ROFR. Saratoga. Those were the ones. Old Key West, obviously, because they were just flipping contracts and increasing the year with the extension. But those were the properties that all of these buyers that, to your point, Amy, you know, these people tried 8-9 times, and I have to imagine that most of them did not do that. They probably tried 2 or 3 times, and they said, forget it, I'm done for a little while. But now those buyers are coming back into the market, and they're like, what? No ROFR?
Right.
You mean this is... And, like, we're getting ROFRs... Like, when we say no ROFR, normally you sit and wait. And it's the most painful wait
couple
in
weeks
the world.
easy.
No, we are seeing ROFR passing in. I mean, I've seen as little as like 1 week. I mean, it is
Wow.
crazy.
I saw 4 days.
4 days.
The other day.
Yeah.
They got to pass in 4 days.
And then you also have, so, you know, obviously members who are currently, are always watching these prices. I'm having some members just stocking up, like just buying 3, 4, 5 contracts. Like their first one hasn't even closed yet. And they are just like piling them on because, you know, when is it going to be this low? Not only when is it going to be this low, but also when are we going to have that coupled with, you know, every single contract passing ROFR?
Yeah. It is an ideal time to buy, and I write these reports monthly. I watch these numbers monthly. I watch numbers go down. We see all of the deals and things like that come on DVC Fan and all that kind of fun stuff. And so I can now sit here and officially say I am under contract for 175 Polynesian points.
Wow.
Woohoo!
And what number contract is this for you? How many contracts do you own?
this will be our 6th contract.
Okay.
Yep.
But some of ours are really small. We have like 350 points and 168. So this and
This will actually be our biggest contract.
this will be our biggest contract, yeah. Because our other one's 160.
But again, it was a reflection of us sort of looking at the points that we want to have, and knowing that I don't know when it'll be this good
That's
again.
just it.
And you don't know, especially from a ROFR perspective, when that switch gets flipped back on. It could happen
Right.
tomorrow. This again, we said this in the last video. You know, this could be obsolete 2 weeks from now. They could be ROFRing every contract left and right because they're restocking up on points or something like that. We just don't know when that's going to flip back, and when it does, it's going to do 2 things. First, it's going to make this process a little bit more painful again. You're going to have to sit, wait for that ROFR Monster to make its decision. There'll always be a contract for you, even if they take one, but it's going to that hurdle is going to be in that process, and also that's going to trigger prices to go back in the other direction again. So if you've been waiting and holding out, it's definitely the time is now.
Is the time.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Pan-
I wish I bought sooner.
The time
I wish
is now,
I bought more
Panda.
points.
I just cannot believe, like, I used to, you know, I see a lot of contracts every day when I originate financing for them, and I used to like see some of the offers coming through before we get the contract, and I used to be like, oh, I don't see that, you know, I don't see that passing right of first refusal. And it used to be that all the time, like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna pass, and we would lose a lot of loans and like have to start over with people because of ROFR. And now it's just like these prices, I'm like, I look and I'm like, wow, Animal Kingdom 108 a point.
Wow.
I was like, oh, that I don't think that'll, oh wait, it did pass, right? This is, yeah. So yeah, and that's a contract that I literally just originated. 108 a point for Animal Kingdom,
Well,
80 a point for Old Key West. Like, we're seeing like just unprecedented numbers.
And we saw one even lower than that last month when we ran the numbers for the Average Price blog. And again, both of these blogs, ROFR blog and Average Price, they're over on DVC Resale Market's website. We also cross-post them over on DVC Fans, so you'll definitely, if you are in the market and questioning pricing or just want to know more about ROFR, all of those things, that's going to be in those locations. But we did a comparison, actually, of Animal Kingdom year over year, and there was a contract that sold at Animal Kingdom. It was an 160-point contract, which is kind of the average. That's what the minimum was when Animal Kingdom came on, so that's what most contract sizes were. But a year ago, February 2022, it was around $150 per point for that contract. Last month, there was a contract that sold for $100 per point.
Wow.
So a 33% decrease year over year in that price. And again, multiple factors to consider there, but it just shows you the direction and the deals that are out there right now.
And for people that are just kind of looking into DVC for the first time, I mean, members will tell you this just doesn't happen. Like, this isn't something that is going to continue to happen. This is like just a very unique situation. It is just, these two things coupled together to make the big bang of a DVC resale market. I mean, it is a very unique situation.
Yeah, and we sat here a year ago, and actually we're talking the whole other opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
It was more of a seller's market back then. Sellers could name their price, and buyers just had to meet them at that point. And again, it was a reflection of where the economy was. I think it was also a reflection of where we were coming out of the pandemic and everything like that. People, it's hard to sit here, and I know for people to think that there's still effects of the pandemic 3 years later in terms of everything, but it's everywhere. It's on all prices economically. It's just a part of where we're headed, and we're still, I think, from a travel industry standard, we'll see this for a much longer period of time. We called last year the year of revenge travel. Everyone wanted to go on vacation. Everyone wanted to buy DVC, go on a cruise, you name it. And this year, that's normalizing a little bit more. We're seeing things sort of shift back in a different direction. We're seeing people maybe that bought during the last boom, which was actually COVID, when there was no ROFR back then. That was probably the last big buyer's boom I think that there was because everyone sort of had saved up money from the pandemic. People had economic stimulus and everything like that. So what was your yearly vacation fund just basically doubled, and then you start going, what? Disney Vacation Club? That sounds interesting. And so it's definitely a roller coaster, like you said.
Well, folks, that's the reason it's a good time to buy right now, because God only knows how long this is going to last. Eventually, they will start buying back again.
Yep.
Yeah.
They will start buying back again, and the question is when. So, as of right now, as of when we're recording this, which is March 23rd, 2023, this is a great time to buy.
Yeah, and we're 3 weeks through March. There's still been no ROFRs with DVC Resale Market this month. So
Wow.
the trend continues
amazing.
through March so far. So if you read the ROFR blog next month, there will be no ROFR blog. It'll just say, this is the ROFR blog, and then just nothing. It'll be a blank page, because that's essentially what there is to talk about at that point.
Unbelievable.
But
Unbelievable.
But yeah, I'm happy. We got a contract out of it. So, and again, I think I'm seeing that more now with some buyers and stuff like that, or people chatting on DVC Fan and stuff like that online, is people are like, hey, I'm seeing all these deals. Maybe it's time to add on. Maybe that add-on-itis bug is about to strike. And so I think that we're going to potentially see even more buyers come on the market right now because of these.
Oh, you guys have been keeping us very busy. I will tell you that. It has been crazy. I mean, it is just nonstop from the very early morning till, I'm working sometimes 11 o'clock at night, midnight even, especially on the weekends. The weekends are super busy for us, and I work from 9 a.m. until midnight on the weekends.
Wow.
And I am busy the entire day.
Good.
Yeah, and again, that just points to there's plenty of buyers out there. If you're looking to sell,
There's plenty of buyers.
Plenty of
I mean,
buyers.
that's the thing. They're just, the word is out. Everybody is looking to buy now. And so as much as, the prices are lower than usual, there are a ton of buyers out there. So
Panda, we joked multiple times about you adding on. I think before this show and a little bit during. But if you were to,
as I'm doing this, you have me think. I'm like, just 50 more points would be good, and I can buy Saratoga or Old Key West because I don't mind not the. I'll take what's available. So
sleep
Play
around
points.
sleep
I'll
around
be calling
points.
you. Yeah.
Well, he's good at sleeping around.
Not true.
All right, folks. There you have it. Good time to buy if you're in the market for a DVC resale. And, of course, the best place to go for that, dvcresalemarket.com, our official sponsor. And that will do it for this week's episode of our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next week with another episode of the DVC Show. Have a great week.